Hey there everyone, welcome to another episode of the Paint Party Livestream. So sorry that I missed you last week. Things got out of hand with preparations for the Independence Day here in the US, and we had family in town, and so I didn't get into the studio. I almost didn't make it this evening, but I am so glad to be back in the studio in front of the easel with you this evening. So hope that your last couple of weeks have been good and that everything is going well. You're enjoying your summer. We have had unseasonably, or maybe seasonably, cool weather here the last few weeks. We've had some rain and cool weather. I had to shut my windows and pull the fans out of the windows, but we're back up into the 70s, and I think we're going to be upper 90s in the next week. So it's going to be real summer for us. We usually get a few days up in the mid to upper 90s, so I guess that's coming this next couple weeks, or the next week, and then maybe cool down. But so glad to have you. All right, this live stream is my Learn to Paint journey. So if you've been here before, you know how it works. You can participate in the live stream anywhere where you're watching. You can comment, make questions, or ask questions, make comments. I love to engage with you as we go through the process. But I typically show up about every week on Monday evenings and paint here right on online. So you can join me. At the beginning of this year, I switched over to using oil paint. So I have been learning a brand new medium, and that has brought a whole bunch of learning opportunities. But I'm getting there with the oils and really enjoying that. So yeah, that's the process. So let's jump right in. I am going to switch cameras for you. Let me switch to this camera while I set up this other one so that you can see my canvas. I'll show you what we're going to be working on this evening, and then we will jump right into it. Let me flip. Okay. A bit. I'll lower this. Make sure my camera is plugged in, my camera being my phone. And I'll put my welcome, those of you who are just joining. Glad to have you. Was a couple minutes late tonight. I got carried away. I was at a friend's house. We were making music. I was playing the piano and got carried away time-wise, so I had to rush home because I didn't want to miss another week with y'all. So I hope everything's going well. Everyone's doing well. I am going to kind of clean out my... I expected to do a lot more painting than I've done in the last few weeks, so I need to clean out my palette. Let me put this, whoops, I don't want to do that. We'll put the palette up here. This is what I'm working on, so have all my standard colors I use, but these have dried out, so we'll just clear them off before we get started. Tonight we are going to do some poppies. At least that's the goal. Let me put that. I did there's a couple of pictures there in the right hand side of your screen that are various poppies, so I will use them as kind of a guide. I'll probably do some different composition wise, we'll see, but that'll give us the start. Oh. I think the white is still pretty Oh, I got paint all over my hands. I should have put my, not all over, but should have put my gloves on before I started cleaning pallets. Oh well. We shall see. Hey there, Marta. So good to see you. I hope your summer's going well. You guys are surviving the extreme heat summer down there. It's had someone in Arkansas say, "Don't you miss it?" I said, "Not this time of year. Not this time of year for sure." Maybe in about 3 or 4 months once we get through the worst. All right, y'all. We are going to jump right in. Oh, how cool. Is it cooler there in Southern Virginia, or is it pretty similar? We've had some really cool weather. I actually had 3 layers on July 4th. I had a coat, sweatshirt, and polo shirt on because it was down into the 50s at night. It was cool. It's kind of bizarre. I mean, I know that's weird, but hey there, Mark. So glad to have you. Thanks for stopping by the live stream. Really appreciate it. It only got to 90 here today. I suppose they still have significant humidity, though, in Southern Virginia. I was saying at the beginning of the live stream, we're supposed to get up to this coming week, not this week, but I think next week, we're going to be up 95, 97, which for us is, I mean, I don't have air conditioning in my house, so it's going to be crazy. But it will also be I hate to say a dry heat, but it'll be dry heat for the most part. But we usually get a few days like that during the summer. So I guess it's going to be, next week is going to be our main time. And then we'll see. Always glad to have new people join from the various platforms. This is just my learn to paint journey. A few years ago, I started teaching myself to paint. And so about every week, I try to pretty consistently hang out with my online peeps and paint live and visit with everybody. So just gives me a chance, or really keeps me in the studio and gives me a chance to do some cool things. I chose acrylics because when I started, it was the height of, or the beginning of, kind of beginning stages of COVID lockdown, and acrylics were relatively accessible and they dry fast. And so, yeah, I just did what was easiest, and I was more intimidated by oils than maybe I should have been, but yeah, that's why I chose acrylics. And then in January I switched over to oils. So I've been learning oils, which has been a challenge because I got a certain level of proficiency with acrylic, and oils don't behave the same way at all. So it's frustrating. I will be passing north of you on the Empire building, or Empire builder in a couple of weeks. Is that the train that goes through North Dakota? I know Amtrak has a line that goes through North Dakota, I believe. Yeah, it's crazy that even so far out here, like, that's still probably 8, maybe 10 hours from me, depending on where in North Dakota. It's so crazy. Ah, so glad to have you. Oop, I'm going blurry. I guess that's the sign that I need to pull up my canvas so that you can see. Now, my camera is a little above the canvas board, so just keep that in mind as you're looking at it. That you are looking at an angle, just because I am trying to avoid as much glare for you as possible. So all right, we'll see. We'll start with these colors and see what we need to mix. First thing I want to do, though, is kind of lay out the composition, which I don't really know right now exactly what I will do. Whoops, sorry about that. But we shall figure it out, because as you can see, I have the images up there in front of me just more for color correcting, etc. So let's kind of figure out how we want this composition to work. So well, as long as this is the peak, you probably, well, you might be interested, but I don't know that I want everybody seeing all my junk that's laying around, all the unfinished paintings and all the stuff that is in various stages of drama. Okay. I have a lot of just junk stored around. Okay, let's start looking at these images. I really like this these poppies over here that are kind of in the background to draw the eye into the painting. But I also like the these ones that are kind of in the shadow. So these will be, this is the focal point. We'll put the dark in behind it. And these will be the then I think I do want this one that's kind of not sure how to, we'll just adjust this. We're just kind of making it up as we go, y'all. Okay. Okay. Now, I kind of like this I like this, but I'm not sure exactly how to do this. I like the dark so I think I want to do I want to light in the dark areas. So let's take, like we often do, our brown, our red and our blue, basically create kind of that dark shadow color, almost a black. I think we need a we need kind of a mid-tone green. This is a dark, actually, that might be good for the, let's mix that in, because I think that would be good for the, actually for the shadow. Have a green tint to it. You probably can't tell that on camera because it's going to color correct and the lights above me are pretty orange. But all right, that'll be our shadow color there. Then we'll try to do a mid-tone green. So we'll put some blue and yellow together. See what we get. It might be a little too greeny. Let's see. Maybe too saturated. We can always add a little of the burnt umber to it if it's too green, because the burnt umber essentially is a red, which is opposite of green on the color wheel, so that will knock down that saturation a bit. Just take a little bit, mix in, and that'll give us a more organic green. Sorry, this is the most boring part probably, but there we are. We need just a little more. Welcome, welcome, glad to have you. Okay, now then our most intense greens will be mostly yellow. So we'll see. I'm not sure how we will construct this painting. So let's see. Now we need some orange. I'm going to take some brown to create a kind of a tannish orange. Then we probably need a little blue. Gives a little that shadow in the flowers. Kind of almost a burnt sienna. I guess I could have just put burnt sienna on my, so I do have that, but okay. Now want the orange. That's out of the tube, but that's probably a little too saturated. You can't really see what I'm doing there. Maybe that'll help. See how saturated that looks next to that other orange. So let's see. We need more of a, I don't think I have it out there, but we need more red. So I'm going to take a little, actually I'm not going to do a red. I'm going to do that last if that's what we need. But I'm actually going to do a little magenta. I know. Y'all are like, what? Bringing out the magenta. So when you think of digital printing, you think of magenta as a magenta, cyan, and yellow are your main colors for a printer, right? So, because red is, if I pull out like a CAD red, it's so strong and so overbearing that we would, but if I do a little yellow and a little magenta, look at how vibrant that orange looks. Then let's take a little yellow and see if we can create like a highlight orange. Might still, that magenta may be too strong, but I don't think so. That's a good highlight orange. I'm sorry it's taken me, it's kind of a boring, I suppose, to watch me mix these colors, but there you can see the vibrant orange and the highlight orange. So we'll start with these, see where it takes us. I think we're pretty there. Okay, now I started to say I want to take this dark shadow color. It is tinted green, even though you can't really tell probably on your, and I want to begin to figure out where my, okay, I know I want my dark out here. For sure, because I want the that to be kind of the focal point. So we'll start laying in our this becomes like a essentially like a sculpture where you just sculpt out what you want. Then I'm bringing this dark color along the bottom here. This will be where we'll put, I'm just doing random kind of twisty, some twisty strokes to want to I want organic feeling here. So I'm doing kind of some strokes that could look like shadows in grass, because then it'll be, I think, easier to come back, put highlights around, and I'll have to do very little to suggest grass. And I think we want some dark spots going through here. So I'm going to take, I'm just mixing now this kind of mid-tone with the dark. I'm going to come in and figure out kind of screen. See if it's gonna work. As always, not really sure what I'm doing, but Hey there. Thanks for popping in. Hope you're doing well. Your summer's going good. Let's see. So we're gonna we're just gonna kind of go down our color palette. It was my pleasure. It was so much fun. Sad I'll miss you guys when I'm down in Denver in a week or so. But I know you'll have a blast on your trip. So, and I'll get that way again, and you guys will obviously get this way. So that will be great. All right, notice how I'm just kind of mixing down. This is now my kind of brownish color. So I'm going to put, but it'll start to give us some shape around these things as we go further and further down the palette. Just trying to look now with where look for where the shadow and light happens. Should be nice. I heard you guys got really hot weather there the last few days. It's been cool up here, but I'm gonna go down to Conifer and then back up to Denver just for a little bit. Okay, now let's I really like this brush, but it's got a lot of dark in it. So I think I'm going to set it aside and we'll just keep going, but I think I'm going to do the next pretty large. I'm going to take this orange, begin mixing that in. So we want to it's going to look super saturated, because what's crazy is it's all about what it's next to. I want to build these things up little by little. Now these are going to look like highlights. especially in the light y'all are looking at. I don't know. Oh, that gives me more glare. There, I don't know. Yeah. Oh, whoa, I almost lost you. Sorry about that. Make everyone sick to their stomach. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see if we can. Problem is all of this is starting to look the same. So how do we get it to look like we want it to look? Remixing some of this green. See if I can. Oop. Something's going on Main Street. I have no idea what I'm doing right now, y'all. They always say that there's the ugly stage of the painting, but I'm not convinced that's not just an excuse for those of us that don't know what we're doing to say, oh, it's got to go through that stage to get to the other side. But I've done it enough to know that sometimes it works out. So, not sure. I'm also not sure how defined I want these flowers. Like, how kind of what would we say, more can't think of the word. I'm losing my mind, Joe. The art that Van Gogh and Monet, impressionist. Ooh. How impressionist I want this to be. Hey, good morning, Olan. So good to have you stop in. Welcome. I hope you have a great day. Okay, this is kind of a darkish. They are poppies, similar to a tulip, but a little bit different in the sense they have kind of that open cup design like a tulip does, but these are poppies. Okay, so we want to put these shadows in places where they are going to read well and help us with the illusion. Fair point, Sir Mark. Yes. They all start as an impression, an idea. Then how much do you refine? It's funny because when I started by trying to be as photorealist as I could, just because I wanted to be able to create or recreate what I saw. And as I've gained those skills, now I want to back off and more I follow some amazing artists who are photorealist artists that just create amazing things, and I love their work. But that's just not the kind of art I want to make. I like it to look like a painting. I like you to know it's a painting. But I'm still figuring that out. And I'm learning the medium. Like, it's such a different thing to paint in oils, especially this way where I've covered all the canvas, and then it's like, oh, if I want to change something, I either have to let this layer dry and do another layer, which is what I did in acrylics, but in acrylics I could do that like within 15 minutes because it dried so fast. But in oils, not the same game at all. For myself, the more impressionistic I am at the start and the more abstractions I create by being loose, the more realistic the end result. Yes, and I'm trying to find that sweet spot. to figure out what are the minimum number of brush strokes I need to convey what I want to convey, or create the illusion that I want to create. So totally get ya. I think you're absolutely right. Mark, do you paint in oils or acrylics or both, or what is your medium of choice? I'm very curious. Now I'm also at a point where everything feels like mud, and that's just my lack of skill, or my growing skill, my developing skill, let's say. I like oils for the reason they cover up on the first stroke. I was frustrated with it by losing the freshness of the stroke by having to do a second or third coats. Fair. Yes. It's that balance, isn't it? And figuring out what one likes and why. And then how do you make that work? Oh. Mark, do you have your work on YouTube, or are you on Instagram? I'd love to check out your work after the live stream. don't know that. I wonder if I get a little, I am getting a little glare there, but the color's just not good on the camera. I'm going to, let's see. Ugh, Meta, it's so frustrating. And they give no customer support because we're not really customers. We are the product. But that's another gripe. Yeah, it's frustrating. I have my stuff on Instagram still, but I mean, it obviously could go down at any time. That's very frustrating. I want a little bit of this. That's right in the glare, so you all can't really see that, but here I'm going back in and just basically, I mean, this is probably the wrong way to do it. I don't know there's a wrong way, but there may be an easier way. But hey, thanks so much. Yeah, I'm here every Monday evening at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. So look forward to seeing you. Feel free to connect with me on Instagram or YouTube. Or I guess you can't get into Instagram. Sorry. That was low blow. All right, I'm going back in and just putting, notice how when I just put a little bit of shadow around, like I'm just like making the, probably should do this the opposite way, making the grasses appear out of the by doing this, I mean, it is its own kind of interesting doing things differently, then you get all weird kind of layers and shapes, and hopefully then it reads relatively organic as opposed to, but yeah, that's the goal. Okay, now let's see if we can go in and oh, my glasses. Sometimes glasses are a help and sometimes they're a hindrance. slowly the grasses are emerging, huh? Emerging from the shadows. These are looking more and more like flowers. I'm going to step back, take a look. I don't do that as much as I should. I like the general composition, so that's good. But I think I just want to keep dialing in these shadows into these lower areas. Okay, now we're starting to see layers emerge, which is good. That will give us some definition into the back. I don't think I want to get terribly precise with this. In the sense that I don't want to just keep dialing it to death, but I do want to make sure that the shadows around this flower particularly are pretty dark. The same over here. It is a process, yes. Figuring out that what you see on the reference photo isn't exactly what you see. Your eyes are easily fooled. My eyes are easily fooled. But little by little you keep going. Especially like this, where you want to just create the illusion of, like, I want this one to be kind of out of focus and this one as well. And this bright color is actually this color on my palette. So notice how dark it looks down here and how light it looks up here, just because what's around it. There's really not, let me just show you real quick. If I put like direct orange out of this direct orange, number one, it looks garish right out of the tube. If I put that on, then it looks like a bright highlight, which is fine because I want some of those in different places, but it's yeah, it's crazy. It's all about what you put next to there. All of a sudden they have highlights, huh? Let's see what we can do. You want to highlight where the sun is hitting it, at least I do. That's the thing, you add like there, it doesn't really, doesn't do what I want it to out there, so. Gotta fix it, not sure how, but we'll figure that out. Now I ruined that, see? But live and learn, right? And you get better and better. Thing with poppies is they're so fragile that like one little petal catches the light and it's that works. That, I don't know where that orange, that's the orange, if it's just more of the maroon coming in, I guess, or the magenta. actual orange out of the tube is pretty intense because it's a cad orange, so it really goes crazy. But some of these I want it to be super saturated. It's also hard because all these layers are there already. Like here, as soon as I put the color in, it's like desaturated with the color that's under it. So that's the challenge there, without waiting for it to see how that's. I'm just going to probably have to come back after that is dry and redo another layer, which is okay. But okay, that is giving me the feeling I want of, this is the sun coming through, kind of catching different parts of the flower. That's the balance I want. Yeah, I'm going to have to come back with another layer probably. Okay. This works. right, we are, I think, kind of coming to a pause, but I want to I love being able to see all these, you know, the texture of the brush strokes. That's part of what I love about painting, is that it's clearly not a picture or not a photograph, but got to figure out how to do that so that they don't, the paint strokes themselves don't stand out, so that they, you know, give the illusion of whatever they are. So I want to these are clearly let me step back again, take a look. Okay, I like where we're going with this. Now I think what I need to do is, what I'm noticing is not working is that everything looks like, these don't look like they're reseated at all. And I think it's because we put so many shadows down here, which we need. But then I think This has to be, and I may have to wait for another layer. I don't know that I can effectively do this wet on wet, but this section needs to be the darkest shadows back here. I don't know that that's gonna actually read correctly, but we'll try it. Every time I sit to the easel, I learn something, or I clarify something in my process or my thinking. Take some more red or some more brown into this one, because if we can bring some of the dark down into here, I think it'll work. There, we'll see. These will recede back. Don't want to overpaint it. That's the only problem. Okay, now let's see if we can put some, I don't know. Now we want to do a little green. Now we're mixing a little all the way from the dark green to the light green. We want to I don't know if that'll work, but we'll see. I say that a lot, don't I? I don't know if that'll work, but we'll see. That's the thing with poppies. They have the buds before they bloom that are so distinguishable, that we need to definitely put a few of those in. Then there's a few like they grow weird. Their stems are but if you give a few very distinctive highlights, then suddenly the sun peeks through. All of a sudden, few hidden greens show up. I think the key with foliage, if that's the word, foliage, is to have some horizontal, vertical, diagonal. Oh, that's too much. So let's take it down a little bit. So is that. You want to have some strokes, brush strokes that are sideways. You don't want everything just up and down. You want it chaotic, like nature does. You only need to suggest a few things, and all of a sudden all these organic shapes start popping out. Now they're looking sort of like what they're meant to look like, aren't they? I think I messed up this corner. We'll have to redo at least the way the light's striking it now. Let me step back. Oh, it's not as bad if you step back, but I do think I think we want to go, don't want to go too much further. Want to come back in. It's this constant playing with shadow and highlights, and it's fun to go crazy with the highlights, but the highlights don't appear unless they have the shadow. So if you can go in and put that dark right in there, then it really makes a difference. If that makes sense. Okay. And honestly, like, you could overdo this to death because you're just carving in. But it gives you all these layers, and from a distance it looks interesting. Okay. I'm going to step back. Yeah, I think that's decent. It's at the level of my current skill. So I'm going to try one other thing. I did. Take some CAD red. Wanting to avoid CAD red because it just destroys everything, meaning it's so strong that it overwhelms everything. But I'm curious what CAD red with. Okay, that is with a little yellow. What kind of orange we get with CAD red and yellow? Is this a... It's an enhancement of the sunlight, so we don't want to go too crazy with that. But this is with magenta, so it's a little more of a crimson. See what I mean? I'm gonna, on the next time I work on this, then I'm gonna do another layer. I'm gonna have to come in and okay. Oh, that's really see the sun. I think I kind of ruined everything I did before, but that's all right. I'll let it dry and then come back for another, because I think this is way too bright for back there. Just never know. Gotta constantly be experimenting and there you go. A little bit. Fix it a little bit. Well, they definitely look like poppies. They're not quite as red as the photo. But then when I put this red up there, it's way too strong. So it's way too saturated. So that's kind of the difficulty, is that this is way too much. So Yep. Flowers have always been so challenging to me, and I don't know what I'm doing, not necessarily wrong, but what I'm not getting. I think it's the subtlety of the values, I guess. And this looks fine, like it's okay that you can tell they're poppies, but it doesn't have that pop factor that I want. That the reference photo has, and I'm not sure how to get that. I think it's a combination of values and color mixing. So I'm going to let this sit for, because when I look at it without the, like if I take this away, I'm not necessarily sad or upset with this. Let me scoot back and kind of give you all a, let me also get rid of this, my palette view, so you can kind of see. Let me adjust the camera so you can kind of see straight on. And push that kind of out of the way a little bit. If you, there. It doesn't, it's not a bad painting. It's just not quite dynamic enough, if that makes sense. But I'm not exactly sure how to make it more dynamic. So we're going to let it sit for a minute. And then, not a minute, a bit. I'm going to turn you back here. And then I am going to turn this around so I can say goodnight to everybody. And next week, I will be here next week, I believe. And then the following week, I will not be. So, because I will be headed back from Colorado. Let me double check that. Okay. Let's see. I will be gone. Yes, I will be here next week, but not the 22nd. So we will see you all next week. Let me go back to my main. All right. Here we go. I don't know. Usually you can't see it any better when I hold it up, but that's what it is right now. And I think not bad for a quick little effort. Not sure exactly how to improve it, but we will work on that over the next little bit. But I want to thank you all for joining me this evening. Was so good again to be back in the studio again. I apologize for not being here last week. Just got crazy with family in and the holiday and all that was going on. So, but I appreciate you all dialing in and hanging with me a little bit this evening. I will look forward to seeing you next week. Same time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time here on the live stream. Until then, I hope you have a great week, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody, and good night.